Welcome to Drive the Daf. Clear, structured explanation of the daily daf in 20 minutes. You can even follow in the car.
Yoma Daf is a short daf. The Gemara is first searching for a source that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold to the concept of breira. Then the Gemara finishes up its discussion of the machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim as to whether there was one stand for the blood or two stands for the blood. And the Gemara moves in to analyze the pasuk of V'chein Yasel Oil Moed. Now, first of all, we've been discussing that Rabbi Yehuda does not hold of breira. Breira means that you can have the identity of something be revealed later and still provide conditions and halachos about it before. Meaning to say that I could say that a certain object to be named later should have the following halachas now, and I'll find out later which object I was referring to. The Gemara says Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold to that. Rabbi Yehuda says whatever halachic term or status you're trying to confer, you have to know which object it's referring to right now. The Gemara wants to know, where did you see that Rabbi Yehuda holds that way? So the Gemara tries two options. The Gemara first says maybe it's from the case of somebody who just bought wine, Erev Shabbos, and he wants to be able to use the wine on Shabbos, and he has to take off Truma, he has to take off Meiser Sheni, he has to take off all these things. He doesn't have a Kli to take it off, but he wants to be able to use the wine. So what should he do? So the Gemara says he should say as follows. The Brisa says he should say as follows. And this will be a machlokas whether this works or not. He should say, look, I have a barrel of wine here. Whatever's going to be left at the end, the last two lugin of wine, let's say the barrel held 100 lug of wine. So the last two lugin at the end should be truma gedayla. That has to be at least 1/50. It should be approximately 1/50th. So I'm taking off two of those lugin. The final two left, those two are going to be truma now. The last 10 that are left besides that, that's going to be Meiser, 1/10 of the total. And the last 9 besides for that, that's going to be Meiser Sheni, that's 1/9 of the 90 that are left besides for that. All these will be discovered at the end. When he gets down to the bottom of the barrel, we'll know exactly what's what. But he's labeling it as Truma right now. We just don't know where it is. We can't find it until the bottle is drained. So then he wants to be able to do this and be able to drink the wine now on Shabbos. So the Brisa says it's a machlokas between Rabbi Meir, who says that works, and Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Shimon, who says that does not work. So the Gemara wants to say is here you see Rabbi Yehuda holds that breira, because that involves breira doesn't work. Gemara says that's not the pshat here, because in the Brisa they're clearly arguing over something else. Rabbi Meir is not concerned that the barrel may break, and he will never end up being able to take that truma and Meiser Sheni, and actually do anything with it, and therefore it'll never actually be separated, and retroactively he'll have drunk this wine without separating truma. Rabbi Meir is not concerned for that. Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, and Rabbi Shimon are concerned for that, and therefore they don't want you to rely on this. But everybody really agrees, could agree at least, that breira is not a problem. You can do breira there. So the Gemara says this is a different source for this halacha, and this is a source about somebody who wants to make an Erev Tchumen. Erev Tchumen is a device which allows you to walk outside of your place where you started Shabbos, to walk an extra 2,000 amas, up to 2,000 amas in any particular direction outside the city itself. The problem is that you can only have it go in one direction. If you are extending your tchum, that is, if you're extending your range, which you can walk to the east, then you cannot extend it to the west. If you extend it to the west, you can't extend it to the east. Now, the situation here is where somebody is aware that a chacham is coming to the city, and he doesn't know where he's coming, and he wants to be able to greet him wherever he goes. Or there are two chachamim that are coming, and he wants to be able to greet one of them, and he doesn't know which one he wants to greet. So there are two cases here where there are two chachamim, and he says, you know what, I'm going to decide tomorrow which one I want to go, and therefore I'm going to decide in which direction I need an Erev. So he has to set up the Erev before Shabbos. So he says, I'm setting up two Erevin, and the one that takes effect should be the one that I'm going to decide tomorrow. That's the direction I would like to go in. Rabbi Yehuda says that doesn't work. Now, that would seem to indicate that there is no breira, because if there was breira, he should be allowed to do that. He's now setting up an Erev and saying the one that I will choose tomorrow is the one that's going to work. Now, Rabbi Yehuda does say, though, that there is a situation in which it does work, and that's where the Chacham's coming, and he doesn't know which direction he'll be coming from. And he wants to set up two Erev and say the one that takes effect is the one that he's going to come to. That Rabbi Yehuda says works. So the Gemara says this proves that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of breira. Now the Gemara over there asks though, but the second way also relies on breira. It's also breira that determines later which one works and which one doesn't work. Because when he finds out where the chacham came, that's the one that retroactively took effect. It's now revealed that that's what took effect when he made the Erev. So Gemara says that the situation there was not quite that way. the one in which Rabbi Yehuda said it works is one that does not rely on Breira, and that's that the Chacham has already come. He's already in the city. This person is making the Erev just doesn't know. So he says they're making two Erevin, and the one that takes effect is the one in which the Chacham has already come. That's already clear. He just doesn't know which one it is, but it doesn't rely on Breira. The one that takes effect is established now. He's just not aware of which one it is. It's not going to be revealed later when the Chacham actually arrives. That's the situation that he allows. So now the Gemara therefore has established that he does not hold of Breira. The reason why one of the Erev situations works is because it's a case where he does not need Breira. The Chacham's already there. In any case, the Chacham's not there yet. Either he may come, or there are two, and he may decide which one he wants to go to. Those situations do not work, so Breira doesn't work. Okay. Now, so we've already established. So now we've established another Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of Breira. Now the Gemara goes back to our previous machlokas, which is we'd seen that there's a machlokas between Rabbi Yehuda and the Chachamim. When the Kohen Gadol takes the blood out of the Kodesh Kodashim, he has the bowl of blood of the Soyer and the bowl of blood of the Par. So according to Chachamim, there were two stands, and he put one on one and one on the other. So he came out, he could put one down and pick up the other one. Okay, however, according to Rabbi Yehuda, there was only one stand, and he had to pick up one before he put down the one that he was holding. So Gemara wants to know, we've established on our last daf that Rabbi Yehuda holds you could label them and that'll be effective. How come here you can't label them? Why don't you have two stands and label which one is which? We had thought maybe Rabbi Yehuda holds labeling doesn't work. We're not going to rely on the Kohen reading the label, but we've established in the last daf that he does rely on labeling. So why doesn't he have two stands? Why is he there has to be only one stand? So Gemara says it's because the Kohen Gadol, in his state of weakness on Yom Kippur, may miss it. And therefore we're extra concerned on Yom Kippur, and we do not want him to label it. We want to make sure that there's only one stand to avoid confusion. He always has to pick up one and then put down the one that he was holding before. That way he won't get mixed up. Now, the Gemara says, and I'll prove to you that this has to be the reason. Because even if it doesn't hold of labeling, there are other ways to tell the two bloods apart. There's far more blood in a cow than there is in a goat, and therefore the bowl of blood of the cow is far fuller than the bowl of blood of the goat. And if you want to tell me that no, maybe they'll be the same amount because he won't fill the blood with the blood of the cow, he won't fill the bowl with the blood of the cow, he'll only take a small amount, and therefore the two bowls will be equal. That's not true. We know that the halach is he has to take all the blood, based on the pasuk that says, "V'skol hadam, v'skol dam apar yishbach l'yisod hamizbeach." Has to pour all the blood on the bottom ledge of the mizbeach. So therefore we know he has to take all the blood, and therefore it's got to be much more. And besides for that, there are different colors. The blood of a cow is redder than the blood of a soyer, and therefore there's ways to tell them apart. Obviously we're not relying on these ways, so that's because of the weakness of the Kohen Gadol. We're afraid he may get confused. We're not going to rely on different amounts, we're not going to rely on different colors, and we're also not going to rely on labels. That's his opinion. The Chachamim say that you could. Now the Gemara quotes an incident. The Gemara says there was a chazan in Shul in the Beis Medrash of Rava who was saying the Yom Kippur Avoda, and he said it in such a way that provides contradictory opinions. He said like the Rabbanon and like Rabbi Yehuda. He said that when he came out with the blood of the sar, he put it on the second stand in the Heichel, implying that there were two stands. And he also said that he first picked up the blood of the sar before he put down the blood of the cow, the blood of the part. That's like Rabbi Yehuda holds that there was only one stand. So Rava commented that you're doing contradictory opinions here. That's not the way you're supposed to say it. You're supposed to say that he put down the blood of the sar and then he picked up the blood of the cow. If you're using two stands, then that was the order that he did things. Okay, now the Gemara moves on. The psukim describing the avoda here say at this point, "V'chein yasal ol moed," so should he do to the ol moed after sprinkling the blood inside the kodesh kodashim towards the kaporos. He then sprinkles in the ol moed towards the paroches. It says "V'chein yasal ol moed." To show that you have the same sprinkling, the sprinkling of the par and the sprinkling of the soyer, both done in the ol moed towards the parochas, just like they were done in the kodesh kodashim towards the kapores. Now the Gemara points out another thing here. The next phrase is "Hashochein itam basoch tumasim," which resides among them in their tumah. Whereas you see from here that even in the time where Klal Yisrael is tameh, the Shechina is still with them. Was it Saduki that said to Rabbi Chanina? He said, "You people are all tameh," like a pasuk in Eicha says, "Tumasa b'shulel lezochar acharisa." So he answered. He said, "Look, Kadosh Baruch Hu is with us even in our tumah, like the pasuk says, Hashochein itam basoch tumasim."
Drive the Daf is a project of the Grand Woodlands Shul and is presented by Rabbi Yitzchak Landa. Find us on YouTube or subscribe to daily emails by emailing drivethedaf@gmail.com.